Friends, welcome to the unit number 10 theory portion of ABM, and the chapter name is Fundamental of HRM, which is Human Resource Management. So this is the first chapter of our module B, and before delving into the chapter, let's see what are the topics which we have to study in this chapter. So first of all, we will see that what is the objective. We will see the objective, right? We will see the introduction part of this chapter. Then we will see the perspective, relationship between HRM and HRD, role of HR professional, strategic HRM, and development of HR function in India. So we'll cover this particular lecture in 2 to 3 videos. So let's get started with our first point, which is effective utilization of HR. Right. So let's understand it. So friends, ever wondered what truly drives an organization's success? What truly drives an organization's success? Is it technology? Is it process? Or is it something else? The answer lie in people. Right. The answer lie in people. So people drive the organization's success. How? We will uncover it. So let me write down the answer lie in people, right? So here, yes, human resources are the real game changer, but here is the challenge: how do organizations effectively utilize the workforce? Let's break it down in the simplest way possible. So first of all, let's see the core problem, or we call it the pressing problem. So which is managing people effectively. So every organization, whether it is big or small, struggle with one thing: how to use human resource in the best possible way, right? That is called effective utilization of human resource. It's not just about hiring people, it is about making sure that they contribute effectively, right? So it is not just about hiring, it is about making sure that they contribute effectively, right? So now let's talk about the management theory, or we call it the universal solution. So over the time, experts have tried to create one size fit all solution for managing people, but do they always work? So the key point is one size fit all means they have the managers, right, experts, they have tried to create a one size fit all solution for managing people. So people management is our focus here. So for managing people, they have tried to create this one size fit all solution, but do they work? Not really, because every organization is unique, and so are its people. That is what it is said, that aims at finding universal solution, means one size fit all solution, but this does not work because every organization is unique. Now the social system which says that human plus technology is equal to success. The social system says that human, if you take element, this will lead to your success, right? Human plus technology, this will cause success. So organizations are not just made of machine, but also of people who drives them. So while technology handle repetitive tasks, human brings creativity, strategy, and innovation, right? So social system is made up of two things, that human and technology, right? So organizations are not just made of machine, but also of people who drive them. Now let's talk about the human behavior. What is the meaning of this so-called human behavior? Think about it. An organization growth depends on its people behavior, motivation, attitude, right? So behavior, motivation, attitude, right? So these factor drives it. A highly motivated team can achieve wonder, while a disengaged workforce can slow everything down. Now we have something important which we call as competitive advantage. What does it mean? That your people are your strength. What make a company stand out? It is not just their product and service, it is their employee skill, knowledge, and mindset, right? So this is called competitive advantage: skill, knowledge, and mindset. So that is why organization invest so much in training and development, right? This is called competitive advantage, which means what makes a company stand out? Not just product and service, but their skill, knowledge, and mindset. This is called competitive advantage. Now let's talk about the Peter Drucker view on it, right? So let's talk about the Peter Drucker view on it. So management guru Peter Drucker believed that business should be more humanistic, right? So they believe that your business, it should be more humanistic, right? It should be more humanistic. That means focusing on change, focusing on innovation, focusing on risk, and keeping employee motivated. So that is called humanistic. का meaning क्या हुआ कि they should focus on change, innovation, risk, and motivation, because this is the humanistic part. Machinistic part is just the regular work which is done by the machine, but humanistic part includes creativity, innovation, risk, changes. That is the Peter Drucker view. Now a complex world needs a smart manager, right? So as business become more complex, managers are turning to behavioral science to understand how people think, act, and perform best. So then we have something called organization coordination. Let's move to the next slide. And let's discuss the organization coordination. So friends, a well-run company does not just happen. Every task, every goal needs careful planning and coordination to keep everyone moving in the same direction. So this is called organization coordination. That means planned coordination of activities to achieve common objective. And now the question is, what really drives success? What really drives success? So the influencing factor, this is what we're talking about. So both managerial decision and organization factor plays a big role in determining the success. So here you can see the 2 point, managerial decision and organization role both plays a key role in determining success. A smart planning and a strong leadership can make all the difference. Now the next question is machine versus human, who does what? Right, so on one side we have machine, another side we have human. So machine versus human, who does what? Routine task, let the machine handle them. But when it comes to a strategy, decision making, innovation, nothing beats the human mind. Right? So routine work handled by machine, but strategic function handled by people. So the secret sauce of successful organization is what? It's not just about technology or process, it is about the people. Right? It is about the people. Managing them effectively is the key to long-term success. So now I hope this makes sense to you, whatever we have discussed just now. Now let's shift our focus to evolving role of human resource in organization success. So friends, what makes an organization truly successful? Is it advanced technology, a strong market presence, or a solid business strategy? The answer might surprise you. It is people, right? Yes, human resources are now the biggest game changer in business success. But how has its role evolved over the time? Let's break it down in the simplest way possible. So the first point is, shift in focus. You can see written shift in focus. Means quality over quantity, right? So when I say shift in focus, it simply means quality. Quality is given more important. So earlier company just focus on hiring more and more employee, but today it is all about the quality, right? It is all about the quality. What it means, right? Business now understand that having a skilled and talented employee make a big difference than just increasing head count. A well-trained, highly performing team can take a company to the next level, right? So now they follow on the quality of those employees who are being hired. Now they invest in the talents. Which means, ever wondered why company offer huge salary and perk to talented professional? Because they know that the right people can bring innovation, efficiencies, success. Right, because they are the right people, so they can bring efficiency, success, and also efficiency. So hiring the best talent is not an expense; it is an investment in the company future. Now then we have the something called adaptation to change. What it means, this is also called the survival skill, right? This is also called something, we call it survival skill. What does it mean? See, the business world is constantly changing. New technology, rising competition, changing customer expectation, right? So environmental change, technology, competitive pressure, customer expectation. So organization must keep up. This means training employee, upgrading skill, staying ahead of the game. These are the changes that you must adapt to. Now then we have something called challenges in implementation. Let's talk about it now. Challenges in implementation. So why great strategy fall? Because a company can have the best plan, but if it is not executed properly, it is useless. Why? Because managing people is not easy. Employees have different habit, different mindset, and different way of working. If leadership does not understand this, even the best strategy will fail. So that is called challenge and implementation, because even the best strategy can fail if not implemented correctly, right? So company can have the best plan, but if not executed properly, it is useless, right? So the people is called the key to the success. This is a key success factor, right? At the end of the day, the real secret to business is not just planning, it's execution, right? This is the key word. At the end of the day, what matters is execution, how you executed it, and execution depends on people. Execution depends on people, their motivation, their dedication, their efficiency decide whether a company will grow or not, right? Now let's shift our focus to the dynamic nature of people management, right? Let's talk about this so-called dynamic nature of people management. So unlike machine, let's talk about this, just wait a minute. Yes, so unlike machine, human don't react in a fixed way. The same strategy that work for one employee may not work for other. People have emotion, motivation, different way of responding to situation. That is why managing human resources is never ending challenge, right? So that is why it is called never ending challenge, because the same strategy that work for one employee does not work for the other, because they have emotions, they have motivations, they have different way of responding to situations, right? So that is why managing human resources is such a big task. Now here is the human at its core. right? So let's talk about it. I think it is the next slide. Yes, here it is. Human resource attitude at the core. Think about it. Every product, every services, every business decision is driven by people. Employee are at the center of everything. Without them, no organization can function. So that is what it means when I say human resource at its core. Every kind of each kind of product, services, business decision is driven by people. Employee are at the center of everything. Without them, no organization can function. Now let's talk about how this people management evolve. So evolution of this people management. Over the time, different approach have been used to manage employee, right? Some company focused on a strict rule, different approach. Some focused on a strict rule, right? Some, while other believed in motivating employee, right? A strict rule, other believe in motivating employee. Today business combine both approach to create a balance between discipline and motivation. So when I say strict rule, it simply means discipline, and when I say motivating employee, it simply means motivation. So that is why the balance between them is much required, between discipline and motivation. So today business combine both approach to create a balance between discipline and motivation. So different approaches has been used to manage employee. Some company focus on a strict rule, while other believe in motivating employee. Now the big influencer. What is the big influencer? Means the influencing factor. So what shapes human resource management? So managing people is not just about company policy. It is influenced by emotion, right? Told you earlier, it is influenced by emotion. It is influenced by values, beliefs, tradition, technology, economics, and even political factors are there. Emotion, needs, values, beliefs. So these are the factors, right? So in short, business don't operate in isolation. They evolve based on society and global trend, right? So here we're talking about the influencing factor. So business do not operate in isolation, right? They evolve based on society and action. So as you prepare for CAIIB, remember, understanding human resource is not just about definition and theories. It is about knowing how people drive success. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Now let's shift our focus to the evolving perspective of HR, right? So evolving perspective of HR, what does it say? So HR, just a bunch of paperwork and salary slip? Not anymore. Human resource has gone through a massive transformation from being an administrative function. Earlier, it was only an administrative function. From being an administrative function, HR is now a powerful force that drives business success. So let me highlight it. This drives business success, right? But how did this happen, and why is HR more important than ever? Let's break it down. So HR from back office to boardroom. So earlier, HR was basically the back office work. It used to be back office work, and now it has become the boardroom, right? So earlier HR was all about maintaining record, handling payroll, and hiring people. It was seen as a necessary function, but not a game changer, right? So that is called shifting workplace. Just wait a minute. So what will happen earlier, that HR was all about maintaining record, handling payroll, and hiring people. It was seen as a necessary function, but not a game changer. But what happens today? What happens today, that HR is a strategic partner. You can see this word written here. HR is a strategic partner. Let me highlight it. Just wait a minute. I think it is, yeah, a strategic partner. HR is a strategic partner. It helps business grow, adapt and compete, right, in the modern world. Now the question is, why was HR evolved? So earlier it was having only administrative function. Why was HR evolved? Let's discuss it now. Several major forces have changed the way a company think about HR. Let's look at them one by one. The first factor, shifting workforce demography. This is the first factor, which means the workforce is changing. Different generation with different mindset are working together. Company need HR to create a smooth work culture that balance experience with fresh idea. Obviously, different generation people are working. Some are some are experienced one, and some are having a fresh idea. So company need a proper HR policy to balance both these ideas, fresh ideas, right? The next we have is a technological advancement. What do you mean by technological advancement? So with AI, automation, digital transformation, business are evolving faster than ever, right? Artificial intelligence, about this automation. So with AI, automation and digital transformation, business are evolving faster than ever. HR plays a key role in helping employee adapt to new technology and stay relevant in their job. That is called technological advancement. So basically what we are discussing, that what forces have changed the way company think about them. First thing is that working demography. Second thing is the technological advancement. The third major factor that have played role in shifting, in changing the way company think about HR is the globalization. So you know what is globalization? So company are no longer limited to one country. Business are operating across borders, and HR ensure that smooth coordination between employee from different culture, background, and time zone. Then we have something called generational challenges or the generational changes. What does it mean? So work ethics, priorities, and expectation vary across different generations. You have heard about this baby boomer. I think you know it. Baby boomer. You have heard about this Gen X, millennial, Gen Z. They all think differently about work-life balance, job stability, career growth. So HR acts like a bridge that connects this perspective. So this is called generation change. Now let's talk about the rise of human capital. Rise of human capital. So we basically, what I want to say, that people are the real asset. Who are the real asset? People is the real asset. Why I call them so? Because earlier business focused only on machine, factory, and money, right? So earlier business used to focus only on machine, factory, and money. These were the key focus earlier, but now they understand that their big asset is the people. Their big asset is the human capital, which we call people. Skill, knowledge, right attitude are what truly drive a company forward. So this shift in mindset is what HR is now a critical part of the, is why HR is now a critical part of the business strategy, right? A strategy business. So what make an organization work? What make an organization work? To understand HR, we first need to understand what an organization is, right? First of all, we have to understand what an organization is. According to the management expert Edgar Schein, an organization is basically a group of people working together toward a common goal, right? So basically it is a group of people working toward a common goal, right? Working together toward a common goal. Sounds simple, right? But in reality, making people work in harmony is one of the biggest challenge, right? It is a group of people working toward a common goal, working together toward a common goal, but in reality many people work in harmony is one of the biggest challenge, making them work in harmony. So there are two sides of organization. So let me highlight what are those two sides. It can be formal. It can either be formal organization or it can be informal. When I say formal, I mean to say that this is the official setup, right? This is the official setup, which means job roles, right? Which means reporting hierarchy and defined responsibility. Everyone has defined responsibility. Everyone know who does what and how the company operate. And the second part, we have informal structure, which means hidden side. Like we know, team dynamic are there. This is called hidden side, team dynamic, or their workplace friendship, office politics, unspoken rule. Even the best business strategy can fail if the informal structure is ignored, right? So these are the two kinds of structure. Formal means official setup, job role, reporting hierarchy, defined responsibility, and informal means team dynamic, workplace friendship. At workplace there is a friendship between all the employee. Office politics is also there, unspoken rule is also there. Even the best business strategy can fail if informal structure is ignored. So the next time you think about HR, so remember, it's not just about hiring and salaries. HR is the backbone of any successful company, shaping its culture, people, and future. So I hope you find this video insightful. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So the first point you can see is individual relationship to the work, right? So the first perspective we have seen. The second perspective is what? Individual relationship to the work. Here you can see it. So it means that this perspective, championed by Robert Owen, says that happy workers are productive workers. It emphasizes good working condition, fair treatment, and employee well-being, right? So that is championed by Robert Owen. Happy worker means productive worker. So over the time, both approach merged, balancing organization efficiency with employee satisfaction. So the first particular management perspective focus on efficiency increment, right? Efficiency, and the second focus on satisfaction. So now over the time, both approach have been merged. Now let's talk about this so-called scientific management, right? So here we are shifting our focus to the scientific management. So one of the most famous theories in people management came from Frederick Taylor. You must know who has pioneered it. So it was Frederick Taylor, right? So Frederick Taylor he believed that if we analyze and break down every task scientifically, employee will work faster and better. So what we have to do? We have to break down each task scientifically. And this Taylor scientific management theory introduced the key concept. The key concept was the division of labor. What does it say? It says that breaking tasks into a smaller step so employee can master them. So you have a big task, you break them into a smaller step. you break them into a smaller step. Why we break down the task into a smaller step? So that employee can master them, right? So this is the first part, this is the first concept. And the second concept, is the time and motion study. What does it say? It says that studying how work is done to make it faster and more efficient. Time and motion, studying how work is done to make it more faster and more efficient. So Taylor's idea was simple. If you define every task precisely, worker will be more productive, right? So you should define every task precisely, the worker will be more productive. So that is the Taylor's idea. Precisely you should say, yeah, this is your task, this you have to do, and then what will happen ultimately, that our worker will be more productive. That's called division of labor. Division of labor means breaking task into a small step. And time and motion study means studying how work is done to make it faster and more efficient, right? So this thing you must know. And now the next thing is that so key assumption of the scientific management theory. What were the key assumptions? So there were assumptions like work can be simplified into a small task. So instead of expecting one person to do everything, break work into a specialized role. Then we have people work for money, right? What it means, that if employee are paid well, they will work harder, and obviously employee must follow company process. The organization and technology dictate how work should be done. Sound logical, right? But here is the problem, that human being is not machine. There are some limitations also of the scientific management theory. What are the limitations? So Taylor's approach was revolutionary, but it has some major flaw. The major flaw was that it ignored human motivation, right? So it ignored human motivation. Employee don't just work for money, they need recognition, they need job satisfaction. So these are very important thing in addition to the money. And also it ignored the human motivation. There is no flexibility, which means that if workers are treated like machine, creativity and innovation will disappear, and employee feel exploited, which means that they had to work faster, but their well-being were also a priority. So this is why modern HR balances both efficiency and employee satisfaction. So I hope that makes sense to you, right? When I say okay, now so these are the limitations of our scientific management theory. Just now we have talked about it. So limitation we have seen. What was the impact? What was the impact of this scientific management theory? So imagine working in a company where you are treated like a machine, right? Just expected to work non-stop, without break, without interaction, without any value beyond your output. Sound exhausting, right? Well, this was exactly how business operated in the past. So in the early day of industrialization, companies treated employees like gear. You see, this is written here, right? So in early days, what happened? The company treated employees like gear. Okay, so no one cared about fatigue, boredom, or even basic human need. The missing human element was there. You can see fatigue and boredom were there. This was the limitation of scientific management. No social interaction, and that no understanding of group behavior, team dynamics, leadership, motivation. These were not even considered. The focus was purely on output and not the people behind it. What was the consequence? If you ignore people needs for too long, they will push back. That is exactly what happened. Workers started forming unions. Rise of labor union, right? Workers started forming union to demand fair treatment. Poor working condition, economic crisis, aggressive management only made things worse, right? You can see poor working condition, worker migration, economic depression make the thing worse. So workers came together, protested and fought for their right. This forced business to finally acknowledge that employees are not just machine, they are the backbone of any company, right? So the question is, why does this old approach does not work today? So this was an old approach. Why does it not work today? Because fast forward to today, the business work is no longer predictable, right? The business world is no longer predictable. These are the audited approach, right? So these are no longer predictable. World is not predictable. We live in what we expert call it VUCA. VUCA stands for, you must know the full form of VUCA, that is volatility, uncertainty, complex and ambiguous. So these are the four key components of VUCA. This question is asked frequently: volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguous. So this means company need engaged, motivated and creative employee to survive. So outdated thinking had no place in modern world. Employee are not replaceable part. They bring a skill, innovation, competitive advantage, right? Business that ignore employee business that ignore employee well-being struggle with high turnover and low productivity. So in the digital era, collaboration and teamwork drive success, not just mechanical efficiency. So if you have ever come across an outdated management style that treat people like robots, so today world need dynamic, adaptable and motivated team, not just bodies filling seat, right? If this insight help you, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Now let's talk about the evolution of the management thought. How does it evolve? So friends, ever felt like your work lacking meaning? Imagine being a job where you are just a teeny cog in a massive machine, no appreciation, no motivation, just endless work. Sound frustrating, right? Well, this is exactly how early management system worked, and guess what? It backfired. So why old school management failed? Let's answer this question. So we are talking about some old school management, right? School management, and they fail. So back in the day, company believed that the only way to get work done was by creating a strict rule and rigid structure, right? So strict rule and rigid structure, tightly structured working system. So but they ignore one big thing that we call as human emotion, right? Emotion, they don't see the emotion, right? The problem is that employee felt no pride or meaning in their work. Productivity suffered because people were not engaged, and morale was low. Companies struggled to get the best out of their workforce, right? So this was the problem, you understand, that employee feel no pride or meaning in their work, productivity suffered, morale was low. So what changed? Enter the legendary Hawthorne study. So this was a legendary Hawthorne study. Let's understand it. So this is the game changer. Between 1924 and to 1933, right, a researcher named Elton Mayo. What was the name of researcher? Elton Mayo. A researcher named Elton Mayo conducted studies at the Western Electric Company. Where he conducted research? Western Electric Company. Right. What he discovered completely changed how the company view their employee. The finding. Let us see the finding. I hope it is the next slide. Let me move to the next slide. So here you can see the finding is that people are not just working for money. They need recognition, they need support, they need and sense of belonging, and good relationship with supervisor and colleague boost productivity. So if you have good relationship with supervisor, colleagues and group, it becomes very necessary. A happy and motivated workforce perform better than a highly controlled one. This was a big deal. It marked the beginning of human relation movement, right? So there were some human relation movement back then. So the birth of so-called social man. So this marked the birth of the social man. So earlier what happened? Earlier employees were treated like a rational economic being. So earlier they were treated as the, so you can see this rational economic man has been replaced by the social man, right? So earlier employees were treated like a rational economic man, meaning companies thought that salary alone would make them work harder, but research showed something different. So this was a shift in thinking. Work is not just about money, it is also about emotion and relationship. So when I say work, it is not just about money, it also includes emotion, it also includes relationship. Employees thrive when they feel valued, respected and connected, right? A strong team culture can be more motivating than a fat paycheck, and this is where some of the greatest thinker in management stepped in. So the master of motivation, so the first name you can see is Chris Argyris. So employee crave growth and learning, not just routine tasks. Then we have Abraham Maslow, who says that people have different level of needs. Basic salary is most important, but once that is met, they look for recognition, purpose, self-fulfillment. Then we have Douglas McGregor. I will discuss it later. Theory X and Theory Y was given by them. And Theory X says that thinks employees are lazy. Theory X manager thinks that employees are lazy and need to force to work. And Theory Y manager believe employees are self-motivated and will work hard when given trust and responsibility. And Frederick Herberg, this was job satisfaction come from challenging work, responsibility and achievement, not just salary hike. So why does it matter to today's business? Because fast forward to today, and these ideas are most relevant than ever. In a world where business face intense competition, the companies that focus on people win the race. So what we learn from this discussion is that happy employee means productive employee. Money is not the only motivator, rather respect, growth and relationship matters too. And a supported work environment boosts creativity, innovation and success. So the next time someone say employee just work for money, remind them that motivation is much deeper, right? I hope this make you concept clear. Now let's talk about the evolution of the people management. So friends, have you ever wondered why company today focus so much on employee satisfaction, motivation and engagement? Why company focus so much on this? Well, things were not always this way. There was a time when employee were just seen as a worker, right? So their employee were just seen as a worker, no motivation, no job satisfaction, just labor. But then everything changed. Let's dive into the fascinating journey of how people management evolved over the time. So the question is, why employee motivation matter, right? So let me write down why employee motivation. So imagine working in a company where no one cared about your growth, your happiness or your well-being. Would you give your 100%? Of course not. That is why modern organizations now realize that if employees feel valued, their performance improves significantly. So what were the problem in the past? The first problem, it was employee lacked motivation and involvement. right? So there was no motivation, there was no involvement, right? Work feel robotic, leading to poor performance. So the work was just like a robotic part, and it leads to poor performance. And organization did not see people management as a priority, right? So they don't fully rely on the people management. So how did we get from treating worker at just labor to recognizing them as the heart of the business? Let's go back in time. How it all started, the industrial revolution era. So let's go back in time. So friends, the concept of managing people as a separate function did not exist in the early day. People business were all about finance, production, profit. But as industries grew in late 90s and early 20th century, you know what happened? And then companies realized something important. They need a system to manage people, right? So they need a system to manage people. This company realized. So what triggered this change? So factories were expanding, managing worker efficiently becoming challenge. As factory were expanding, managing worker become a great challenge. And dissatisfaction and poor working condition lead to unrest. Company realized that happy employee means best business result, and this turn led to the birth of unstructured people management, right? So here the key point is structured rule. If we talk about the India's contribution, a game-changing experiment. So while global industry were evolving, some remarkable thing happened in India in 1952. Professor A.K. Rice conducted an experiment in Ahmedabad mill, studying how group behavior affect productivity. This was a game changer. It showed that employees don't just work for money; they work better when they feel part of a team. So from this experiment, what were the key learning? Let me summarize. The first is that team dynamic affect efficiency, right? So the first point is that team dynamic. So this team dynamic, it affect your efficiency, right? Employee engagement reduce conflict. So if employees are engaged, conflict will be reduced, and structured people management system lead to better result. So this realization shaped the future of HR management. Now let's talk about the evolution of HR, how it took shape. So basically let's talk about the evolution of HR. So in the beginning there was no HR department, only welfare secretary, right? So early role was only welfare secretary, right? So their job was simple: keep worker happy through enough so that they would not form union. Later these role transform into time office in mill. In mill there is something called time office, right? Time office in mill, and establishment section in bank has establishment section focusing on employee record and basic management. Finally in 1960 a breakthrough happened, the first use of the term personnel officer in an industry like chemical and pharmaceutical. So from basic welfare role to a structured HR department, companies now realize that people are their biggest asset. So why this matter today? Because fast forward to today and the role of HR have completely transformed. Company now focus on employee well-being, motivation and satisfaction because they know it directly impacts success. So what is the key takeaway? That industrial revolution created the need for people management. India's early experiments shaped HR practices. The focus shifted from controlling worker to empowering them. So the next time you see an HR professional, remember they are not just managing employee, they are shaping the future of business, right? Now let's talk about the fundamental activities in people management. Have you ever wondered what HR actually does? It is just hiring and firing? No. People management is like the backbone of an organization. It is what keep everything running smoothly. So let's talk about the key activity. So you can think of organization as you can think of this organization as a cricket team, right? This is just like a cricket team. You need the right player, you need to train them, you need to assess their performance, and of course you need to reward them. The same principle apply in HR, right? So first thing is that recruitment and selection. This is the first part, recruitment and selection. So finding the right talent. Imagine you are building a dream team. How do you pick the best player? That is exactly what recruitment is. Companies need to select the right people who fit their need and culture. A wrong hire can be a big problem. That is why HR carefully evaluate skill, experience and personality before selecting a candidate. The second thing we have is the training and development. You know what it is? So once you have a team, you can't just leave them untrained. They need to be coached and upskilled to perform better. That is what training and development comes in. Employees stay motivated, updated with the new trend. It boosts productivity and confidence. Well-trained employee make fewer mistakes, right? So whether it is technical skill or leadership ability, training ensures that employee grow with the company. Then we have performance appraisal. What is the performance appraisal? So how do company know if an employee is actually doing well? Simple. Just like player get ranked in a game, employee are evaluated based on their performance. So HR measure achievement, set goals, give feedback to help employee improve. It is like a scoreboard showing who is excelling and who needs more coaching. And then we have something called rewards and compensation. You know about it. Keeping employee happy. Would you keep playing a game if there was no reward? Probably not. That is what company offer. Why company offers salaries, bonuses, promotion, and perk to keep employee motivated. A well-paid and appreciated employee is happy and productive employee. So there are some other critical factors. So recruitment and selection, training and development. These are the key factors. Besides that, other critical HR factors that drive growth. Apart from this core activity, modern HR goes beyond just hiring and training. Here are some game-changing functions. Like the first, you can see manpower assessment. What it means, that how many employees does a company actually need. Hiring too many means extra cost, hiring too few means work overload. So HR balance this perfectly. Then we have something called career management, which means growing employee within the company. Employee don't want to stay stuck in the same position forever. HR help plan promotion, skill building, and career growth. Then we have something called succession planning. Just see the next part. This is called the succession planning, which means preparing future leader. What happen if the top executive suddenly leaves? HR ensure that there is always someone ready to step in. And then we have something called talent management. You know what it is? Not everyone is the same. Some employee have extraordinary potential. HR identify and groom these future leaders. So the big debate, profit versus employee well-being. Two things are there. One thing is there is a profit, another thing is the employee well-being. Now there is an interesting history lesson. Did you know that HR always has a struggle between two different mindsets? So there is something called profit mindset approach. Let me show you. So here you can see it. This is called the profit mindset approach. What profit minded approach? What it means? It means that the business side, it focus on employee as a resource for maximizing profit, right? So it focus on a employee as a resource for maximizing profit, right? Prioritizing efficiency, cost cutting, and productivity. And then we have another viewpoint, which is called social welfare viewpoint. So the human side, it focus on employee happiness, mental health, work-life balance. It is aimed at making workplace more human and positive. So for years, companies struggled to balance these two approaches. But today, smart business realize that happy employee means higher productivity, and they now focus on both efficiency and employee well-being. So what we learned from this discussion is that HR is much more than hiring. It is about growing and managing talent, training, performance review, reward. It keeps employee motivated. Balancing business goal with employee happiness is the key to success. So the next time someone asks you what HR does, you know the answer, right? Now let's talk about the relationship between HRM and HRD. So duality, I think, is clear. Profit versus welfare, right? So now let's talk about the relationship between HRM and HRD in the simple word. So have you ever wondered why some company have super motivated employee while others struggle with unhappy teams? The secret lies in how they manage their people. So today we are diving into the evolution of HRM, the brain behind people management. HRM, right? HRM has changed a lot over this year. Earlier it was just about hiring and firing. Right, earlier it was just about hiring and firing, but now it is a complete system focused on keeping employee happy, productive and growing. So what has changed? So earlier HR focus on only rules, HR focus on only policies. Earlier it focused on rules and policy, but now HR integrates human behavior and psychology, right? It integrates human behavior with what? Psychology, right? To keep employee motivated. Instead of replacing old method, HRM has added new better technique. Think of it like a smartphone update. You don't remove old feature, you add new more advanced function while keeping the basic intact. So HRM is called the heart of people management. Let me show you where it is written. Yes, so HRM is called the heart of people management. Imagine a company as a well-oiled machine. HRM is a system that keep everything running smoothly by managing the people behind the machine. So you must know that this HRM, human resource management, is not about hiring, right? So it is about managing people as a key resource. Motivation, training, development, they are not top priority. You can see that employee motivation, these are the key points here. Let me show you. Employee motivation, development, growth, these are the very critical part. And a company succeed only when employee grow along with it, right? So think about it. If employee feel valued, they give their best effort. That is why modern HRM focus on both company goal and employee happiness. Now let's talk about the HRM role in shaping organization. So HRM is just like a control center of an organization. It builds system to manage employee better. So when we talk about HRM, it is just like a control center. right? So key HRM responsibility includes creating and improving HR policy, right? So it means rules, pay structure, work culture, right? Then we have training manager to handle employee better. You should train manager to handle employee better. Balancing employee need with company goal. This is another thing. Now there is something called managing people is both a line and a staff function. What does it mean? Here is something most people don't realize, that HRM is not just the job of HR department. So who is responsible for HRM? The responsibility of HRM goes to HR manager. HR manager, right? So here you can see line and staff function it is talking about. So the responsibility goes to HR manager. So team leaders and department head, yes, and every single manager handling people. So HRM responsibility goes to everyone, right? That is called line and staff function. So every manager has to apply HRM principle in their daily work, whether it is handling employee issue, or whether it is ensuring fair performance review, or motivating their team. That is why training line manager to understand HRM is very crucial for a company's success. Okay, so it is both a line and a staff function. Now why should you as a CIB aspirant care about this? Because the key point which you must know, that HRM is a strategic function. When I say strategic function, what it means, it directly impact business performance, right? Second point, bank and financial institution use HRM principle to train, motivate and retain employee, and understanding HRM help you become a better leader and ace your examination. So HRM is not just a department, it is a foundation of every successful organization, right? So yeah, I hope this makes the concept clear to you. Now let's talk about the evaluation of HRM. How does it come to existence? So friends, have you ever wondered how HRM has evolved over the time? Why it was first called the Labor and Welfare Department and later renamed as Personnel Department? And why do modern companies now focus so much on HR management? Let's break it down in the simplest way possible. So the first topic we have is the changing face of HRM. Let's write it down. Changing face of HRM. Imagine an old flip phone from the 90s. It was just for call and message. Now we have a smartphone that do everything. The same way HR has evolved. Earlier company has a labor and welfare department, right? So their job was managing worker and ensuring basic welfare. Then comes the personnel department, which handles hiring, salaries and administrative work. Finally, everything was merged into HRM, which takes care of everything related to employee. Finally, these two departments were merged. Labor and welfare department used to manage worker and basic welfare, and personnel department handles hiring, salaries and administrative work. And everything was merged into HRM, which takes care of everything related to employee, whether it is hiring, training, motivation, performance, career growth. So HRM is not just a department anymore. It is a powerful system that keeps organization running efficiently. Now let's talk about the difference between the old HR versus new HR. So let's differentiate them. On one side we have old HR, and on other side we have new HR, right? That many people think that old HR practice are gone, but surprise, they still exist, just in more advanced form. So HRM is divided into 4 key areas, right? So what are those 4 core areas? The first is acquisition. Acquisition just means that hiring the right people for the job. Second is the development, which means training and career growth of employee. The third is the motivation, which means keeping employee engaged and satisfied. And the fourth is the maintenance, which means managing policies, salaries and workplace discipline. So these are the different gears in a car. Each one plays a role in making the engine running smoothly, that is organization running smoothly. Acquisition, development, motivation and maintenance, 4 key stages of this HRM, right? So these 4 key areas, 4 core areas we say. Now HRM is more than just hiring, right? So HRM is not just about finding the people, it's about shaping them into valuable asset for the company, right? It is about you are shaping them into the valuable asset for the company, right? So different aspect of HRM. The first is the administration. The first aspect is the administration, right? So it means it covers promotion, salaries and benefit. The second aspect is maintenance, right? So administration is one aspect, maintenance, you can see maintenance is another aspect, which manage workplace discipline and grievance handling. And the third aspect is called development, right? Development system, which means focus on training, performance review and career planning. So think of HRM as a school. It does not just enroll a student, it also teaches, trains and help them grow and motivate. So question is, why is HRM so important today? because company today don't just compete on product or services, rather they compete on people, right? So the companies compete on people, right? Business that manage people will get better result. Hiring the right person ensure future success. And HRD, what is HRD? Human resource development is now the backbone of HRM. HR is not just about hiring and firing anymore, it is about unlocking the full potential of employee. So why should you care? So HRM is not just a department, it is a strategy that ensures business grow and thrive. So the next time you hear HRM, don't just think of hiring, think of a complete system that keep organization successful, right? So let's see what are the activities which happen under HRM. So you must know regarding HRM and HRD, right? Activities. So here we are talking about the activities. So here you can see that HRM is like the engine that keeps a company running smoothly. But do you know what activity actually happen in HRM? So HRM include everything related to the people management and development. The goal is to make the employee better, productive and happier, right? An organization is only as strong as its people, and HRM ensures those people are there at their best. So there is a term which we call CFD. CFD stands for continuous professional development. So imagine a cricketer who never practice after joining the team. Will he perform well? Of course not. So employee need continuous learning. So here is the keyword. Let me write down. Employee needs something we called continuous learning, right? Employee need continuous learning to stay relevant. And this CPD, which we'll call continuous professional development, help a worker upgrade their skill, right? It help worker upgrade their skill and stay competitive. And employees should set clear learning goal, right? Employees should set clear learning goal, right? Not just for personal growth but also for company success. So the more skilled the employee is, the better the organization perform. It is a win-win for everyone. Now let's differentiate between HRM and HRD, right? What is the difference? So people often get confused between HRM and HRD. Let's clear that up. HRM handles routine HR function like hiring, salary and employee record, right? So HRM handles the routine HR work, routine HR function, hiring, salaries and employee record. It focuses on the present need of the organization, right? It focus, as we are talking about HRM, right? It focus on the present need, right? But HRD, which is human resource development, it focus on the long-term growth, training and development, prepare employee for future challenge and leadership role, right? You can see, if you prepare employee for future development and change management, work on improving company culture and motivation and innovation. So you can think of this HRM as the foundation of an house, while HRD is the renovation that keep it modern and strong, right? So you can see the foundation. The foundation is the HRM. You hire it, right? You hired it. So routine function fall under HRM, but you groom the room. So suppose you the foundation of your house is HRM, but HRD is the renovation that keeps it growing and strong, right? So this way you can remember it. So now let's talk about the employee feedback and innovation. So have you ever worked at a company where your feedback was ignored? So it feels frustrating, right? So HRD focus on survey and research. So HRD, it focus on surveys and research, right, to understand what employee want. Company use some feedback, right, to improve policies and work culture. And innovation is the key, which means new ideas from employee can lead to massive growth. So what we learn from this discussion is that if you have happy employee, if employee are happy, right, it means performance will be better, performance increases, it means company will be successful, right? So obviously HRM is not just about hiring, it is about managing people for long-term success. So HRM, HRD, the difference is clear. Now let's move over to the role of HR professional. So what is the role of HR professional here? Let's discuss it now. So friends, HR used to be just about hiring and payroll, right? Well, not anymore. HR professionals have transformed into the backbone of organization, playing a much bigger and more strategic role. Imagine running a company where no one is properly trained, no one is motivated, and there is no system for hiring or promotion. Sound like a mess, right? That is why HR professionals are more crucial than ever. They ensure that organization functions smoothly and employee grow. Over the time, HR has shifted from basic people management. So early it used to be just basic people management, right? You can see it has shifted from traditional people management to modern people development, right? Advanced people development. Today HR is not just a support function, it is a strategic pillar, right? So earlier it used to be just a support function, but now they are a strategic pillar of every organization. Company that invest in HR grow faster and retain top talent for longer. Now let's talk about the past versus the present. So past and here present. So HR were not always this important. Let's rewind. Earlier HR duty were just part of the manager job, right? HR duty were just part of the manager job. So it just like handling, hiring, payroll and discipline. But with new labor law and employee right, HR has to evolve into a specialized role. So HR has to evolve into a specialized role. So HR is no longer a side job, it is a fully fledged profession. Okay, now there is something called system development. Here you can see system development, which is the backbone of HR. So would you trust a company that hire and promote people randomly without any system? Over the time, company build a structured HR system to make hiring, training and promotion more effective, right? So this required specialized knowledge, this required specialization. Here you can see the keyword written here, this required specialized knowledge, right? So HR professional had to become expert in managing people. As a result, companies started relying on HR specialists instead of expecting manager to do everything, right? So a well structured HR system leads to better employee, which leads to better business. And HR came as a specialist field, right? So you would not let a random person perform surgery, right? The same apply to HR. As an HR function become more complex, company need professional with deep knowledge in the HR system. This leads to the rise of HR as a specialist field, a specialized field, right? HR as a specialized field and separate from general management. HR professionals start guiding managers instead of just following orders. Now HR is not just about paperwork, it is about building a strong workforce. And education and HR. So with HR becoming more technical, companies need trained professional. So guess what happened? University and college started offering HR courses to teach skill like recruitment, training and employee relation. University and college, right? This made HR a respected professional, just like finance or marketing. Company now hire HR specialists to build a strong team that create a great work environment. So a trained HR professional make all the difference in the organization's success. So HR has transformed from a single simple support role to a specialized strategic function. So the next time you think about HR, don't just imagine hiring and payroll, rather think of a powerful system that build a strong organization. Now let's talk about the evaluation and impact of the human resource management, HRM. So HRM has come a long way. It is not just about hiring and firing, it is about shaping the future of organization. So let's talk about evaluation of HRM. I think we have done it. It is just repetition, right? So yes, it is just repetition. So HR as a specialist or line manager role, developing of HR system, academic shift, we have just discussed it. Okay, now the next is professionalization and line manager. Here I think we will discuss little bit more. So friends, let's discuss it now. That earlier HR was considered a back office job, but as a company evolved, HR function started integrating with the line manager. Why line manager? Let's understand. That line manager are the one who work closely with the employee daily, right? So they understand team dynamic, performance issue and training needs better than anyone. As a result, organization realized that line manager must also develop HR skill to manage their team effectively. Means who are working closely employed daily. So HRM is no longer just an HR department job, it is everyone's responsibility. Now there is something called HRS as a specialist or line manager role. Some industry rely on full-time HR specialist, while other train line manager to handle HR tasks. So which approach is better? Very important thing. So HR as a specialist role. Let's first of all talk about this role. So that some company prefer dedicated HR professional who focus solely on HR policies, hiring and employee relation. But HR as line manager job. So other company train manager to handle basic HR function like team development, performance review and conflict resolution. The reality is that many company use both approach together. HRM is a blend of specialist knowledge and real world people management by line manager. Now let's talk about the traditional HR versus statutory HR function. So here you have it. You can see there is something called traditional and statutory HR function. You can see this word written here. So HR was once all about tracking attendance, output, quality control, but legal requirement changed everything. Earlier HR function was managing attendance, output, quality and safety. Legal influence over the time, labor law and regulation required company to hire HR professional with legal expertise, right? So HR professional became responsible for ensuring compliance with employment law and managing industrial relation. They were some prominent in 1960, 1970. So modern HR is not just about policy, it is about keeping employee engaged and aligned with business growth. So they focus on training, development and motivation, career growth, everything. The goal is to reduce the workplace frustration and to improve the work, right? So HR as a business partner. So HR is no longer just a support function, it is a key part of business strategy. This is what we are discussing. HR is a key part of the business strategy. So modern HR professional work closely with business leader to make sure that company has the right people in the right role at the right time, right? So right people, right role at the right time, this is the key point. So HR helps shape company policy, right? It shape company policy, its talent acquisition strategy, leadership development program. The goal is that a stronger team, better productivity and long-term success. So HR is now a business partner, not an administrative department, right? So I hope this makes sense to you. And now let's talk about the HR function, which is a dynamic perspective. Here it is. So Parik and Rao HR function, this is very important. So friends, think of HR as a backbone of organization. Just like a strong backbone support the body, similarly HR support employee and executive to ensure a smooth operation. HR help employee, it means HR help employee by providing training, resolving conflict and ensuring a good work environment. It assists executive by streamlining hiring, managing policy and making the workplace efficient. So without HR, an organization would struggle to function effectively, right? So there is something called system development and research role. Ever wondered how big company manage thousands of employees smoothly? That is where HR system comes in. HR creates system for hiring, training and employee engagement. It analyzes workplace problem and finds solution to improve productivity, right? And there is something called managerial role. So HR is like the mastermind behind organization workforce. HR plans manpower, recruitment, placement, retention and motivation, performance assessment. I think we have just discussed it, no need to again elaborate everything, right? Developing competence means technical competence, managerial skill, problem solving ability. So it is just like a coach that help employee grow in their career. And there is something called process role. What is the meaning of this process role? So ever notice how some company have a great work culture, right? That is because HR shape the values and the environment, right? So so here the key point, that is adaptation to the challenges, to the adaptation to the changing environment, which means HR ensure that employee adjust to the new policy. Then we have building company culture. So it means promoting ethics, teamwork and values, solving organization goals, which means identifying causes and fixing them before they escalate. So friends, this is the first part of the lecture and we will continue our discussion in the next part, that is the qualitative orientation in HRD. So I hope you understand that what HRM and HRD is all about, right? So till now we have covered the perspective, HRM HRD relationship and HR professional. This is what we have discussed. A strategic HRM and development of HR function in India we will cover in the next lecture.